Hey guys, Dilby here, welcome back to the channel. So today what I'm going to do is share with you 5 of my favorite Max for Live devices. These are handy little utility tools that can help you save time, effort and do really cool stuff within Ableton Live. They run on Max for Live, which is integrated into the suite version of Ableton's Live 11, I believe. It's an open source platform for developers to create utilities, instrument devices for Ableton Live. Just quickly, if you like the track that's playing, it's a new one of mine. There's a link in the description to Beatport and Spotify. If you want to go and support that, I really appreciate you. And as always, if you want to download the project files from this video, there's a link in the description to Patreon where you can grab the project files. Patreon's one of the best ways that you can support the channel and make sure I keep bringing you these videos every week. Now let's jump into Ableton and check out these Max for Live devices. Alright guys, so here we are inside Ableton and I put together a little project to help to demonstrate some of my favorite Max for Live devices. You can download this project from the link in the description that goes to Patreon. Okay, so let's have a quick listen.
You give me reasons why I love you.
Cool, nice little deep house number. So pretty simple stuff. I'll just walk through this. A few hats and stuff. Percussion loop, percussion hat. Bass, we've got a sub and a couple of like pluck things which are coming from Diva. I'll freeze those tracks. So if you download the project but you don't have Diva, then you can still play the audio. Then we've got a couple of melodic elements and a couple of little vocal bits. So the first Max for Live device that I want to show you is called tails. Something that I use a lot in my productions is creating like reverb tails and delay tails from vocals or synths and stuff, which is a great way to create like riser effects for your tracks. And having it come from a source that is already in your project helps to just make it feel really organic and like it's kind of supposed to be there. Anyway, so let's have a listen to how we can do that super easily with this Max for Live device. On the master here, I've got this device called Tails. Turn it on. So what it does is basically you play your project and as soon as you stop playing, it starts to record whatever's happening after that for a set period of time. Let's demonstrate how that's working. So you could hear there's a little bit of ambience happening afterwards. But what we can do is utilize this with, say, this vocal shot here. I've just turned on this reverb. And in fact, let's turn off this EQ so that we get more of a full signal. So I've got a reverb here with a long decay time, 14 seconds, set to fully wet. So that's going to sound like this now. So I'm going to play it. As soon as the vocal starts playing and we get the reverb tail, I'm going to press stop and then it's going to record the buffer. Okay, so now we have to hit this save buffer button. Now this is a real downside of this device. This button is tiny. I think it's like 1 pixel in here. So we need to click around here somewhere and it will kind of come up. Okay, so it's right around here. Really, really bad. Anyway, and I'm saving that into the current project. Now I'm going to drag that into this audio channel here. Now, if I hit the reverse button, we get this reverse. I'll just turn up the audio a little bit. There is an easier way to do this, which I will show you with the next device. But for now, we're going to use the clip gain, and this is what we've got. All right, let's just change that to complex. We can bring this in here. I'll hit A to get my fades, make a bit of a fade. Got some delay and reverb. Let's hear how this works.
Reasons why I always love you.
Super cool. You know, you could do that also with like drums or with a melodic part, with anything. Super easy, quick way to do it. I just wish they would fix that save button. Anyway, moving on. So the next device I want to show you is called clip gain. So clip gain I've put on the master here, turn it on. Now what this is going to do is, as I was showing you here, this gain control knob on every audio clip, wouldn't it be great if you could just hover over this and get a control here? Well, that's what this clip gain allows us to do. So what we need to do first is map the gain to a key on our keyboard. So I'm going to press Command K to get the key mapping up. I hit onto the gain. You can see here I've assigned key G for gain. Command K to exit key mapping. Now, when I select any audio clip, I hit G and it brings up this gain control. Super easy. And like with the standard gain control, We can also, really handy, double click and it will go back to 0, reset. Awesome. So a way that this is super, super handy is for editing audio. This one's not too bad, but often when I'm editing audio from a vocalist, certain phrases will be different volumes than others. And that can be really tricky, especially when you have to cut it, Command E, and then click, go in here, adjust it, click to the next one, go down, adjust it. You know, it's just not as fast. So for leveling this audio, we can just hit G, and we can just see kind of visually that now these are all a bit closer. So if you're kind of doing that with a long, like a verse of audio or something like that, this can save you a lot of time. Very, very handy. Also for audio loops, I like to set my gain to -5 on my loops so that I'm not clipping. Most loops from Loop Cloud or Splice, etc. are normalized to 0 dB, which means that as soon as you put on a plugin, basically, it's going to start clipping. So part of my workflow is every clip that I put in, I set it to -5 dB. So with the clip gain, easily mess around with that. Very handy. So the next device that I want to show you is this time converter. So where I use this is for delays and reverb time. Something that I do is I set the pre-delay of my clap reverb based on the tempo of my project. So the way this works, right, turn on the time converter, it grabs the BPM of the project, and then we've got these controls here. I'm going to set it to notes, okay? So we can see here that 1/128th note is 15 milliseconds. I can change this to a 256th, a 64th, which is 30 milliseconds. If I look at my pre-delay, that's set to 30 milliseconds. So let's say this is 127. Now that's 29.5. So I can just change it here. So this pre-delay is going to sound really good synced to the tempo of my project. I want the project to be 125, so I'm going to leave it that way. We can also sync the decay time to the project. So if we change this to 960 milliseconds, we know that the decay time of this reverb is going to be synchronized with our project. Super handy. You can also use this for setting delays. So let's say on this vocal, we want to have a delay, and I'm going to shift that to time mode. Let's copy this time converter, drop it here. We've got dotted and triplet notes here. So let's say we want to go from a dotted 8th note, 360, but let's say we want to have a value that we can automate. What I might do is group this and show my macros. Let's just remove some of these. We only want one knob. Go to map mode, time, map it here. Okay, up here we're going to say the minimum is 360, and let's say we want our maximum to be 1/2 note. Let's try that and see how it sounds. So then we would put 960. So what that's going to allow us to do is have a delay that kind of goes unsynced but easily goes back into time. Unmap that. We can even hide the device. Take a listen. Very cool. So it gives us this like really interesting sound with some kind of sense of control. We could try setting that to ping pong. It might be more interesting. So that we get those really cool tape delay effects. Okay, so our next device is going to be a modulation device called Strange Mod. Turn that on, and we can see it gives us this crazy three-dimensional modulation pattern. There's various patterns you can choose from, and this is like a more advanced version of the modulation devices that were implemented in Live 11. So something I use a lot is this LFO device. With the LFO, I can hit frequency and map it to this sine wave. So it follows this pattern, and I get an ever-changing value on the frequency. I can change the rate so it's faster. Let's try it with Strange Mod. So again, I hit map. For the X position, I'm going to hit frequency. For the Y position, I'm going to hit frequency mod depth. And for the Z position, I'm going to hit resonance. So you can see that we're getting kind of random values on all three of these. We can influence some of these values. We can change the speed, the scale. There's also a random button. So you can see there's infinite possibilities almost to just get completely weird random sounds in a very, very easy and fun way. I'm sure that you can come up with many possibilities about how to use this. And I really am a big fan of this kind of let the computer do the work approach. The next device I'm going to show you is this MFG Quick Scope. So for quite a long time, I've been using Oscillos Megascope as a way to view the waveform that's created from my master. I find this really good for referencing. However, this plugin does have some downsides. Despite many updates, it still continues to crash Ableton for me. On my laptop, I have some conflicts with some other plugins that just basically make it unusable. And it's a paid third-party plugin, right? I found this MFG Quick Scope. So basically, it's the same thing. What I really like about this is it's in the same design language as Ableton. It shows you the same like waveform style as when you look at a reference track in Ableton. So that's what a waveform looks like in Ableton. So we can kind of look at this reference waveform and then we can view what's coming out of our master with Quick Scope. It's also got some cool and interesting options like left, right, mid, side, left, right, mid, side, dual. That's how it's kind of makes most sense to me. Now we've also got this pop-up button, which gives us a large version. We could have a medium or small version. Another benefit of this, say with Oscillos Megascope, if I bring that up and then I click onto another track, it's on the master. So it only shows when I'm have the master selected. Whereas with the MFG Quick Scope, I hit pop-up, hit on my reference, and it's there. It's there the whole time until I hit close. Another cool thing we can do, so it looks better in this. We can set the time. This is really handy so you can determine how long it's going to show, basically how fast the waveform is moving.
You give me reasons.
Really cool. And on here, we hit this move button. It gives us this kind of transparent overlay. So it's a super handy tool, great for referencing. Maybe the one thing that Oscillos Megascope can do that this isn't doing is Oscillos Megascope allows you to overlay multiple instances to compare them. Still, very handy plugin, and I'll be using this myself going forward. So the final kind of honorable mention, if you like, that I want to show you is called Mix Matcher, and this is basically a spectrum comparison tool. You put it on your master and it will compare your master to pink noise. I'm not a huge fan of the pink noise mixing method, but if you use that, this could be really handy. What we can do is compare it to a reference track. So you select the track here, hit this button to enable it, turn off the pink noise. Now you can see your track overlaid with the reference. You can change the line width and the smoothing. Smoothing will kind of change the refresh rate.
You give me reasons why I love you. Reasons why.
Now, the reason why this is just an honorable mention is I think that Span is much better at this, but Span does have its downsides. Here's a link to a video where I've shown you how to set up Span and use it for this. Let's show you how that quickly looks. So I find Span to be a bit more detailed, a bit more easy to understand, and it's also got this bigger display. But it definitely has its downsides, and if you don't want to use Span and want something that kind of does something similar, you could try out this mix matcher. All right, so those are my recommendations for Max for Live devices. If you want to download this project file, you can do so from the link in the description. It goes to Patreon. It's one of the best ways you can support the channel. Alright guys, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully it was helpful. Let us know in the comments if you've got some other Max for Live devices that I missed. What's your favorite? If you're looking for something to watch next, then check out this. I think you're going to like it. Well, that's it from me today. We'll catch you next time. Peace.